Hey guys, it's Andreas, and today's talk is about agriculture and how big data and data science is used in agriculture. Every day I drive by a lot of fields where farmers are growing plants for us to eat, for our food to eat, and for instance for petrol and so on. And so the influence of data to make decisions on how you grow plants, which plants you grow, and so on will be big in the future. So when you look at the job of a farmer, a typical farm has a lot of acres of land and different soils, and the farmer needs to know which plants he can plant in which field so he can get the maximum yield out of the field, and that the plant fits to the actual soil. And when currently this is has a lot to do with gut feeling and experience. Then he needs to actually plant the seeds, he needs to grow the seeds, he needs to apply chemicals so the plants grow good, he needs to apply fertilizer, he needs to apply pesticides and fungicides so the plants don't get sick. When all that is done and the plants are grown, he needs to harvest. He needs machines, the right machines to harvest everything. And then when the harvest is done, he needs to sell his harvest. On what we have like stock markets, where every type of harvest has its own value at a certain point of time. And so how data science and big data can help there, the first step is to apply sensors in the soil so that it's no longer a case of experience which plants you can plant on which soil, so that you know the contents and the quality of the soil from sensors to make smart decisions on what to plant and when exactly to plant. And if you need if you need to grow some special plants to fill up the nutrients in the ground so the next harvest or the later harvest grows better. And there are some companies working on sensors that can do that. I will link a few of them below. This is the way to go. So every field will be connected. Every field will generate data on how is the soil status, how are the plants, and so on and so on. And all this data can be used to optimize then the whole process, to optimize how much fertilizer exactly do I need, how much and when do I need to apply which pesticide. It would be best if you would not apply any pesticide and so on, but that's reality. And so the data that comes from the fields will be used by farmers to optimize how they grow their crop. For them as well, time is money, and they need to be quick, they need to be efficient. for instance, for a lot of farmers, when I sometimes I see them on a huge field. They have a huge field and they are plowing the field, and it takes forever for a farmer to actually plow the field. So when you think about autonomous driving, this is also a very, very large application for farmers. So farmers can just send out the tractor and he does everything by himself, or send out the harvester and he harvests. They don't need to think, they can concentrate on other stuff. When you can optimize the crop and how much you harvest, and then the next thing is you need to find the right time to actually harvest. Because harvesting, if you harvest a few days too late, maybe you have some rain and the harvest, or it's too cold and the harvest gets bad, or you cannot sell it fast enough, and so because the demand is low. And so there are many factors on when to actually harvest, and this can be as well very much optimized by using data from the fields, data from the weather, data from the stock exchange. This will help farmers a lot. The other thing is, when they have the data, they can optimize the machinery they buy, because buying oversized machinery is very expensive and then useless, and it costs a lot of money to maintain. So they can use data to optimize what equipment to buy and how to use it. Everything is, I know this is all very integrated and influences each other. I think this is the way to go, and we will see a lot more about that in the future. Another thing is maintenance. It's for a typical harvester, it's bad when the harvester is damaged. Or when the harvester is offline, when the harvester can harvest. Because when the time comes to harvest and that freaking thing is not working, the farmer is losing a lot of money. And oftentimes, for instance here in Germany, the smaller farmers, they don't even have a harvester. So they are renting the harvesters from other farmers, and they are dependent on time schedules. So if that thing doesn't work, they have a real problem, and they are in a lot of hurry. And so predictive maintenance on harvesting equipment, or on farming equipment, this is also a very, very big use case. The thing is, the farmer needs to optimize everything, because in the end he needs to make money. I know the farming industry gets money from the government, but nevertheless farmers need to earn money, and they need to optimize how they earn money. And when they have a harvest, they need to sell it as quickly as possible before it goes bad. And what a friend of mine told me, who is actually a farmer, they are selling their crops on like a stock market, where the crop has a value based on the time. So today's price can be a lot better than tomorrow's price, and tomorrow's price can be worse than day after tomorrow. So they are always they need to optimize how they sell that stuff, and they maybe do some predictions on how this will turn out. There are even insuring companies who offer some kind of a safety net, so they get a minimum price on that. And so these insuring companies will also profit from getting actual data from the whole industry, so they can limit the risk of insuring. And it all starts with the Internet of Things. When the sensors are cheap and the internet connection is always there, and the data, there are platforms who can manage the data, who can make predictions, because farmers, they can't build this themselves. They need to use such platforms. Change is needed in the farming industry, because the pressure is rising for farmers, because selling the crops doesn't get enough money, and they need to optimize everything, and they only have a limited manpower, because when you look at it, almost nobody wants to do farming anymore. So the automation of everything needs to get higher as well. Okay, so as you can see, there are a lot of applications for using data in farming, and it would be very interesting. Do you know some use cases? Are you already working on some use cases? Write me a comment, hit me up on social media what you think, what your experience is, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.